What a dumb baseball team. Seriously.
Well, if you're on audio or watching YouTube right now, Cardinals have lost their second series of the year to maybe the worst team in baseball history.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because, last year they lost a series to the White Sox, the previous worst team ever. It's a thing. It's a pattern.
What does that say about the team that's losing?
Well, it says that they play down to their competition a lot. I mean, it might not be real, but it anecdotally, I really feel like the Cardinals suck against bad teams, especially the last 2 to 3 seasons. I feel like they suck. I mean, Kyle Freeland and his, near MLB worst 6 ERA waltzes into. I mean, I know he's a lefty, and this team can't hit lefties, but come on, you can't make these guys look good.
Joining us on Dealing the Cards, you didn't miss anything. That is how we decided to open this episode because we have no words. It is so bad. Josh Sandy here. Andrew might pop in later. He's with us usually, and if you're new to Dealing the Cards, we're usually a little more lively to start off. But I mean, sure. I don't know. I don't know what the response is. Like the first comment in the chat today was just, "What just happened?" Like literally, like what just happened? The Cardinals lost. They've lost 4 of the 6 games they've played against the Colorado Rockies this year. They're the only team to be shut out by them this year, and it's happened twice.
They're the only team to be shut out in the Rockies' last 200-plus games. They had not shut out anybody until July 22nd this year. Their last shutout was May 14th of 2024.
Yeah, and since 2023,
now they've shut the Cardinals out twice.
They're one of only 2 teams to be shut. I think they're 2 of their 3 shutouts since 2023 or something, or 2 of their 4 or something like that.
It's just possible.
It's insane. It's so bad. And I mean, again, I don't think the Cardinals are they would be a dumb take to be like, "Oh, the Cardinals are as bad as the Rockies." Like, no, they're not. But this is the mediocre nature of this Cardinals team that is just beyond frustrating at this point. And it's why I think we don't need to necessarily start this episode like it because we're just turning into every episode we're debating the future of the Cardinals. But like, it's why I feel like they're just not as close as some people want to believe they are, because you can't be any team can theoretically, like, I know it hasn't happened, but if the Dodgers could, they're not going to, but they could lose the series to the Rockies this year. They could. It's possible. And it doesn't mean they're a bad team. But this Cardinals team has just given us plenty of evidence at this point that, like, whenever a good team would start to make a real run, this team just doesn't do it. And this series was the offense. I mean, I guess today the offense put up 5. Like, okay, whatever. But like,
it's not enough when it's Colorado. They are the worst team in baseball history in a number of ways, including pitching.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously yesterday, like, it was brutal being shut out by them. Game 1, like, you put up 3, right? Like, it wasn't.
And they had a ton of chances too. Like this series, I know the Cardinal. I think they got 4 hits with runners in scoring position, and they had like 30 plus at bats with RISP. Like, you got to be better than that. You have to.
Yeah. So I mean, I guess there's a lot I want that we could talk about from this, but what's your main takeaway, I guess, from seeing the Rockies come to town and take 2 of 3 from the Cardinals here?
I think it's what you were alluding to. It's at their very best, the Cardinals they can hang with good teams. They've taken 2 series from the Dodgers this year. I think they're even with the Cubs in the season series right now. After that last series win, they might be ahead of them, but I think they're even. But at the same time, no, they're even. But at the same time, at their very worst, the Cardinals are as bad as anybody. Like, you don't see really good teams. Like, really good teams have bad nights, but really good teams don't often have nights where they lose, 9, 10, 11 to nothing. And the Cardinals have done that like a fair amount in the last 60 days or so. You can kind of tell early on. It's like that last game where they got blown out against Chicago. I think they lost like 9-1 or something like that. Like, Palante came in, gave up a run in each of the 3 innings he pitched, whatever, gets pulled. And it's like, well, you knew what was going to happen. Like, once the bleeding starts, it never stops. And they just tend to do that. They're worse. They're as bad as anybody. I mean, clearly they were as bad as the Rockies, if not worse, for this 3-game stretch. And it sucks. And at their best, they can hang with pretty to really good teams, but there's no consistency. And that's what you get with this team. I think no one should be surprised when they do stuff like this. It's what you get.
Yeah, I feel with you on that. It's just on any given day, this team can take 2 of 3 from the Chicago Cubs and have a really fun series. And on any given series, they can drop 2 of 3 to the Rockies. And that's just where they're at right now. I do think some of this comes down to, it's not solely it, because I think the lack of depth also hurts this team quite a bit. But I think it does speak to the lack of star power, right? When you don't have someone in your rotation that's a stopper, then, like, like Sonny Gray is kind of that sometimes, but some days he's not. And when you don't have a guy or two that you can trust to turn series around like that, that hurts a big time. And when you don't have two bats in your lineup that you really trust to be stars, then again, it puts so much more pressure on these guys that would thrive as the third or fourth best bat in a team, but really they're miscast as the number one, number two bat in this team, and they're never going to get you the kind of production you really want from them. Then you've got a guy who should be a 5 or 6 bat in a team who's your third or fourth best bat, and they're never giving you the production you want. And we put like some of these guys like Victor Scott or Mason Wynn or Nolan Gorman, Jordan Walker, we put so many of them under microscopes, needing them to be more than they are, or at least more than they're ready to be. And then we're constantly frustrated by the results we get when someone like a Michael McGreevy, someone like a Victor Scott, someone like an Alec Burleson, like all these guys are guys that you would respect and love on teams that have more star talent around them, but they're just asked too much. And it's not like you're not like hurting Alec Burleson by getting these opportunities. Like he should be thankful he's getting these, but you're hurting the perception that we have of these guys when you just need far more from them than what they're capable of producing right now. And you hope that they can turn into those guys. And it's part of what running out a young core does, is that you see what they can do. But I mean, for all the chatter from Jordan Walker, this Chicago series, he did zip in the Rockies series. And it's like, I want to believe Jordan Walker's turning around, but like, I'm same
fastball down the middle earlier today, 91 down the pipe. I mean, it's just come on, dude. I know it's one thing, it's an anecdote, but you're right. You're right.
And I mean, like I know Brendan Dom had that huge hit, but just great. Like that's one opportunity. But like Gorm that struggled this series, especially defensively again. Yeah. Mason didn't do like it's just you needed more from this team, and it's the freaking Rockies, and you didn't do it. And so I mean, we're just going to have to keep beating our heads against the wall until this changes, right? Until one of these guys emerges and becomes something they're currently not, or until the Cardinals go and find that guy, or until someone in the minor leagues or a future draftee or international signing turns out to be that guy. But right now, they clearly lack that. And yeah, mediocre or average teams can make the playoffs, but they just have no ceiling in October. And there's a lot of variance that means they can miss the playoffs. And like you look at the Cardinals record right now, they're 500 team, which is crazy that they've dropped to 500 after a Rocky series. I cannot believe any team has dropped in record. Like that's just insane. But they are now a 500 team. They're minus 21 run differential. Sandy, what do you think their expected win-loss is? Like how many games above or below 500?
It's worse than they are. I bet it's like 5 or 6 games below 500.
They're 4 games below, so they're like expected 59-63 team right now. And honestly, it feels like that with games like this. Obviously, the Cubs series felt more fun, right? Like they had a big win on Sunday, a huge win on like a commanding win on Friday, commanding loss on Saturday. Though didn't they win the season series against the Dodgers? Like
they won both series. They won a series in LA.
Yeah, so it just I don't know what you do about it.
I mean, they totally play to the level of their competition. But I mean, I think that's exactly what you get. Like if you strip teams of their stars and it's just like what filler do you have between these guys? Because like even the Dodgers, when you've got Shohei Ohtani, Freddie Freeman, and let's throw Mookie Betts in as a third superstar. He's having a bad year, whatever. But like those guys still only get to take 1/3 of your at-bats. Like you have to have filler that's capable
for sure.
And there are going to be nights where those guys combine to go, 1 for 13 with a walk. Like that happens. But like you still have to have filler. And I think the Cardinals have good filler. They just don't have the stars. The other thing is too, like if you're the Chicago Cubs and you have more filler and probably better filler than the Cardinals do, plus star bats like, Kyle Tucker or Michael Busch might be turning into a star. I mean, look what he's doing this year. When you've got those guys, it's okay if PCA has a stretch like he's having right now because he's been awful since the break. But it doesn't really matter because you have a bunch of other guys that are all capable of pulling together. And with the Cardinals, when nobody's hot, when nobody seems to be rallying the team and really taking charge like that, they suck. And like that's what we're seeing right now. It's the worst. So yeah, I'm probably with you.
And I even think like even if again, we've had this conversation before, but even if you plugged in Kyle Tucker and Kyle Schwarber, and I don't know, like 2 stars in this lineup right now, and you plug a top rotation starter in there, I still don't think it's enough because at some point you have to have the guys that can replace, like if Lars Newbar goes down and Brendan Donovan goes down, and these guys go down, you have to have that depth over the course of the season to be able to overcome that. Yes, it's a better team. Yes, they have a fighter's chance, but I just think there's so many glaring issues with this team right now. And
yes, they don't reach true contender status by doing that right now. Like
right. And so I think the most dangerous thing about where they're at right now is that they continue to convince themselves that they have enough interesting talent that they can just figure it out at some point. And it's like, yes, you have an interesting filler talent, but you don't have enough interesting high-end talent to really believe. And so that's where I think when you go into an off season, you have to remember a series like this. You have to remember stretches like this and be like, you know what? This happens every single year, the last 3 years, that they get hot, but they just do not have the high-end talent to really overcome stretches like this. And so they're going to have to make hard decisions on everyone. Like, I love Brendan Donovan, and I think he needs to be here because I think like beyond even just his play on the field, I think he's a culture guy. And so I think when I compare him to an Alec Burleson, I would rather trade Alec Burleson and get something in return for him. Not to say Alec Burleson's a bad guy or not a culture guy, but I think Brendan Donovan can be a leader on this team. You can pay for those intangibles. I think he's beloved by the city. I think it helps with some of those things. Yeah. But even him, I don't think there's a single guy on this roster right now outside of maybe Von Herrera. And it's not because I think he's like a for sure fire star right now, but I think it's because I don't really know what you get in return for him. But honestly, the Chaim Bloom should put every single name out there and be like, what can you give me? What can you give me? It doesn't mean you trade all of them. It doesn't mean you gun to trade. It's all the specific players, but see what's out there and then figure out, like, does what I get back for Alec Burleson make this team better, and we can replace Alec Burleson some other way? Same with Brendan Donovan, same with Lars Newbar, same with Matthew Liberatore, same with Sonny Gray, same with Nolan Arenado. Well, Nolan Arenado, you're trying to move money. Same with Willis Contreras, same with Jordan Walker. All these guys have to be available because the pieces right now just don't work together. They just don't.
Is there anybody on the team that you don't think is replaceable right now? Maybe Mason Wynn. Maybe. Because the defense is that good.
Yeah, I think you're right. Maybe Mason. Because
like, there's not a single bat in the lineup that you couldn't move and throw money at Schwarber and upgrade. There's not a single. I mean, and honestly,
well, not even that too. Like, develop a guy to replace him. Like,
exactly. I mean, I have very little faith in the top of the Cardinals farm system right now to produce that talent. I have plenty of faith in the lower levels once that matriculates, but that's going to take time.
But I mean, that's also part of this, is that we just have to start remembering, like, there is a longer timeline here than what we've been used to. It isn't how do you maximize this team for 2026 anymore. It's how do you get them to 2027, 2028. And I have confidence that if this, again, we're assuming if the group is good at doing what they're supposed to do, if they're truly this player development group is what it's out to be, then by 2028, you should be able to have a guy that can replace Lars Newbar, to replace even potentially Brendan Donovan, because I do think higher of him than most people probably do. But I think but some of that is the culture side of it. I think as a player on the field, he's a really good player, but he's not irreplaceable. But he's a valuable player that every contender would want. Like, I think that's where I really get really frustrated people, is when they act like, oh, like, if this was the Dodgers, Brendan Donovan wouldn't be here. It's like, no, the Dodgers would love to have Brendan Donovan. The Yankees would love to. The Red Sox would love to. Every team would love to. But when you're in a position organizationally like the Cardinals right now, you can't be married to guys like that if there's a potential to get better in the future, because this team's timeline is way more like 2028, 2029, 2030 than it is 2026, and even maybe 2027. Like, I hope 2027 is an ascending year where you're starting to see that, but it's just probably going to take time. And I really think Buster, I don't know if you caught it all, Buster Olney's interview on 101 ESPN this week. He was on BK and Ferrario, and they were asking him about Chaim Bloom. And first he was like ripping the Cardinals for the transition year. He's like, this makes no sense. He's like, just let the guy who's going to be in charge. But then his other thing was that, like, baseball executives around the league respect Chaim Bloom and believe in him as a guy that can transform a farm system, develop people. But he's also a guy that's really kind of that got a bad rap among other executives for being a guy who's pretty hesitant, who overthinks the decisions a lot, and like doesn't want to trade guys, and kind of married to his guys. And apparently he got kind of a rap of being a guy who was a little bit more solo minded, that he didn't really like tap into the guys around him and kind of like went on his own. It feels like, from what we've heard from Chaim, even at his original press conference, and how the Cardinals front office has been operating, that they very much see themselves as a collaborative unit. So at this point, you got to hope he's learning from his mistakes in Boston, right? Like, there's some people that never change. There's other people that, like, your first job, you are like, if you got your first job again 20 years into your career, you would do a much better job with your first job than you did the first time. You have to learn things. And so hopefully for William, he's learned from those mistakes. But it really does feel like this is going to be a little bit of time. It's going to, like, listen to John Mozeliak in that 101, or not 101 ESPN, on Sunday Night Baseball, and like listen to the organizations they're looking at. They're like, we got to be more like the Milwaukee Brewers. I'm not saying we got to be more like the Dodgers and spend money. They're like, we got to be better at rebuilding this farm system, rebuilding this organization. And that stuff just takes time. And again, that's where I feel like at the major league level specifically right now, I'm not married to things because most of these guys won't be here by then. And I do think some of them will be, but I don't know if there's any of them besides maybe Mason Wynn that I can say will be here. I think it could be any number of them, but I think it's it's only a few of them. And
I think it's Wynn and Herrera are the guys the organization should be.
Yeah. And then I think there's probably 2 or 3 of the guys that are here now that are still here, but it's so like true. Like, I don't even think the Cardinals know, and not because they're like trying to figure out, make a decision. It's like, well, they might value Brendan Donovan more than Nolan Gorman, but they might get a Godfather, not even Godfather. They might get a really good offer for Brendan Donovan. Like, hey, we'll roll without Nolan Gorman and the stuff we get in return for Brendan Donovan, rather than running with Brendan Donovan and getting way less for Nolan Gorman. Like, or they might go into the offseason and it's like, we're not getting the right offers for Brendan Donovan, so we're going to trade Nolan Gorman and keep Brendan. Like, these are probably the decisions they're going to weigh. It's not that they have a hierarchy of we have to keep these guys and these are the guys we're moving. It's probably like 1 or 2 guys we probably won't move, but we could move. Everyone else, it really just depends on what the market tells us. And then hopefully over time, when JJ Weatherholt gets in the mix and Liam Doyle, whoever these future, like if Reinel Rodriguez is that kind of guy, Joshua, like if some of these guys develop into those kind of talents that are game changers, then yeah, those guys will be untouchable. They will be guys that you want to hold on to. But I just feel like this team continues to remind us time and time again that when we look at them and be like, oh, they have potential. It's like, well, they?
Yeah, I mean, it's they're just so frustrating. I think the other thing too, and I haven't given this idea enough thought. I think you just kind of showed it to me. Like, even if the Cardinals' current top, like even if some of these guys bang, because the Cardinals haven't had anybody really bang in a while, but like even if JJ comes up and is a stud, and even if one of the pitching prospects you have, whether it's Cooper Jerpy in 2 years or Takeo Roby in 2 years or Quinn Matthews next year, even if like one of those guys turns into an actual ace, which that'd be like, aces are so hard to produce. That'd be a good hit rate, to be honest. Even if those things happen, you're still not at true contender status because it's the depth. And that's the thing. Like, the top level of the system has so little depth. Honestly, like when you look at AAA, after JJ Weatherholt is the most exciting prospect Jimmy Crooks, is the most exciting prospect Nathan Church,
like position player wise.
Yeah, I mean,
like, because I would put Quinn Matthews above those two, but yeah,
absolutely. But I'm talking about on the position player side, like, you don't even have the depth. You're still so far away depth wise, even if these guys bang, and that's why it's just going to take time. I mean, you're right. Turning into a true contender is going to take a lot of time, and it's going to suck, and we're going to have to wait it out.
And I don't want to act like Walker couldn't be a really good player, or Nolan Gorman couldn't be a really good player, or Mason Wynn couldn't take another step forward, or Victor Scott could become a league average bat. And if he's a league average bat with that defensive speed, like, that's a really good player. Like, these guys have potential to take steps up. I just don't know if any of them, besides Yvonne maybe and JJ Weatherholt, have the potential to be a true, like, middle of the order difference maker, which you need. Like, at the end of the day, you have to have that in your middle lineup. You can kind of get by with being weak in some of the ancillary pieces, but to your point, if you want to be a true contender, you have both. The Cardinals have developed, which is difficult to develop, a team that has like 6 or 7 guys that can be regulars. Like, sometimes I think people look at this team and they're like, oh, Nolan Gorman is a bench player, doesn't even deserve to be a player in the major leagues. Like, actually, if that guy had consistent playing time, I'd clearly be a league average or maybe above average player for a lot of teams. I think the Cardinals have a lot of guys that, like, if they were the main starter, they would be an above average player and a really helpful player on a contender. But they just have like 9 of those. And it's like, you can't have a team of 9 above, just a little bit above average guys, or like, you need a couple of guys that are like dudes, and they just don't have that. And on the pitching side, especially, I think that's even more bleak, where sure, there is a world where a lot of these guys hit, but like, what do we know about pitching prospects? Like, very rarely, like, if you had an organization where you had 10 top pitching prospects, how many of them even just performance wise end up being real guys? Yeah, like only a few probably. And then do they stay healthy? So it's like they could be Alex Reyes, where it's like insane stuff, but like, they just had all these injuries and it never happened. Yeah, or like even like Michael Wacha, it's like he had a couple good years and he fell apart, and then you end up cutting bait, and he ends up being good for someone else long term. Like
Jack Flaherty.
Yeah, I think the pitching is the one that I'm really like, man, this is gonna take a long time.
And it just keeps taking longer, because like there is a world where the Cardinals pitching depth is healthy this year. Yeah. And Takeo Roby and Quinn Matthews are both pitching for St. Louis right now. So the Andre Palante problem and Miles Michaelis problems are solved, and they're healthy and pitching well. And like Tink Hence has given you 100+ innings at AAA this year. And Cooper Jerpy's not getting Tommy John. He's killing it, knocking on the door. And it's like, oh, we can bring Tink Hence up as a high octane reliever now. And like, we're going to be so awesome. But everyone's hurt, you know?
Yeah.
And like you look at that group of 4 guys, and honestly, as excited as I was coming into the year about that group of 4, I'm still excited, but I'm much less excited going into next year. And it almost feels like if you get another year with this kind of injury luck, I mean, where does that even go? You're going to have to reset, and then you have to wait for the next group to come up. And that's probably Ishan Henderson, like Chen Wei Lin, guys talking about multiple levels down, and it's going to take time. You're right. You got to get lucky. It takes a lot of things.
Yeah. And I think let's talk about more about the pitching and how far they are, because I think, and actually the team as well, because I think I'll tease it and I think we can talk about it. Like, it doesn't mean you're 5 years away from being any good. Like, it just might be 5 years away from being a perennial contender good, right? Yes. Like, I think that's what we're talking about, is getting to those places. Like, the expectation in St. Louis isn't just, hey, can you be a wild card team, or hey, can you make a 1 or 2 year run? It's how do you get back to being that consistently great team? That's what we're talking about. That they are light years away from that. But yes, like in a year or two, they could figure this out to get to a place where, yeah, things are interesting and pretty good down here, but there's still some ways to go and a lot of work to be done. But let's talk about a couple of our sponsors real quick, because we are really thankful for the support we get on this podcast. Our presenting sponsor is 314 Sports Cards and Collectibles. They're located at 9640 Olive Boulevard in Olivet, open 10 to 5 Monday through Fridays and 10 to 4 on Saturdays and Sundays. They buy, sell, and trade all sports cards, Pokemon cards, and the newest selections of packs, boxes, and single cards of local players and stars from around the league. You got to go check them out. You know, many of you shop there already. If you're in the chat right now or listening later, drop a message down below if you've been to 314 before. We love Devin and his team. They're great. Make sure you go check them out and let them know we sent you. I also want to tell you about one of our other sponsors, and that is Underdog Sports. The Deal in the Cards podcast is proud to be partnered with Underdog Sports, our favorite place to play fantasy games. You're now eligible to play in Illinois, Missouri, Indiana, and 37 other U.S. states. You got to check out Pick'em. It's so easy to play. You just pick 2 to 8 stats of your favorite players and choose whether they'll go higher or lower. You can win 20 times your money by going 5 for 5. If that sounds like fun, sign up with our promo code CARDS to claim your first free pick plus first time deposit offer up to $1,000 in bonus cash. We can't wait to see your entries. So kind of what we're just getting into before some of those thinking of our sponsors there. Yes, this team is 500 right now. And so, yes, like, would I be shocked if this team goes 8-2 in this next 10 games? No, because that's how crazy this team is. It just does anything it wants to do sometimes. I don't understand it. And would it be crazy if they made the playoffs next year? No, it wouldn't be. I think what we're saying would be crazy and just isn't going to happen is, unless it's like some literal miracle, like a 1 in a 100 year type, like a truly once in a generation team. This team does not have the talent to make a surprise run and to be like a true, like, we're going to go take out the Giants. Because even if you look at those teams that snuck into the playoffs before, they had stars. Like, they weren't like just some like ragtag bunch of players that like, oh, wow, look at Johnny Smith over there. We don't even remember his name anymore, but he led them to World Series. Like, yeah, you have those performances, but they have
there were guys like that, like the Pete Cosmas, your Borges's, your Nick Puntos of the world. But, I mean, in 2011, there was Albert. In 2006, it was Albert and Roland and Jimmy Ballgame.
In 13, you had Matt Holliday. You had Alan Craig really playing for him. Matt Carpenter, Yachty. I mean, you look at like the Diamondbacks here and made the World Series. They had Corbin Carroll. They had Zach Gallen. You look at like the Rangers. They had Corey Seager, Jordan Montgomery, Nathan Eovaldi. Which again, Jordan Montgomery and Nathan Eovaldi are stars, but Marcus Semien, like stars. Like when teams make surprise runs, typically they have star talent, even though it's a surprise run. Cardinals just aren't there. Now, I do think from the pitching development side of things, like how far away are they? I mean, there's a world next year where you look at the pitching depth of internal arms, and you've got Matthew Liberatore, Michael McGreevy, Andre Palante, Kyle Leahy, and Quinn Matthews as guys. And that's 5 internal arms right now that could be cost controlled back end of the rotation. That is already an improvement of where they've been the last few years. And the bullpen actually does look better than it has in like 2023. Like, they've shown us that they can take shots in the dark and build a bullpen, and they actually have major league arms. Now, again, we get really frustrated by Andre Palante. We do at times get frustrated by Michael McGreevy because they aren't ones and twos and threes. But guess what? If you have those things in place and then you had Michael McGreevy making the league minimum as your number 5, you don't really complain that much because it's like that's baseball. Like you want a guy like that. So I already see improvement from the Cardinals in that area where you've got some of those kind of arms building. Now you need to start building even more of those because they can get injured and fall off. And then you need the high end talent. Can Quinn Matthews be that? I don't think Kyle Leahy is that, but could he? Is Liam Doyle that guy in the future? All that kind of stuff. And then you also, not all of your pitching has to be internal. So like, do they go out and get that Jose Quintana for their team next year? In the future, do they do small 2 to 4 year deals like for older starters that are really good, but they're not going to give them a long-term deal? So the next Sonny Gray, instead of like, I don't think they're ever going to go out and spend Garrett Cole money, right? I just don't see them doing 8 years, 7 years for a starting pitcher, but could they do 3 or 4 and a high AAV for a guy like Sonny Gray was? There are ways to rebuild this over time, but I don't think like the early 2010s Cardinals pitching, or what the early 2010s Cardinals pitching is in today's game, which is the Mariners are really the Milwaukee Brewers. That's what I think is 5 years away, right? And that's if it goes right. Like there's no guarantee that just because Bloom's here that 5 years from now pitching's gonna be great. But you do look over at Boston right now and you're like, hey, like that dude took over in 2019. It's 2025 now. It's 5 to 6 years after he took over, and look at what that team is now. Like it worked. And so I would be curious to see if that's how the Cardinals can go. Is that like, where do you see as a whole, like where they're at pitching wise long term?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're absolutely right to say the building blocks are better than they used to be, but they're missing so many pieces. And like, the thing is, at the end of the day, every pitching prospect is just a probability. And there's a chance that they're great. There's a chance that they're just okay. There's a chance that they suck. And there's a chance that they're hurt. And you just need enough dart throws that you can get lucky and have enough guys turn out to be really good. And that's what the Brewers have. I mean, yeah, the Brewers, you look at them this year, everything's gone their way. It's ridiculous. They've won 26 out of their last 30 games. There's some devil magic working there. I don't know, some weird stuff going on. But you look through the system, I mean, they just have so many guys with chances. And it's like, yeah, it makes sense that a decent number of them are going to work out. You look at the Cardinals the last few years, and it's literally like, I mean, you hope Michael McGreevy's good because he's the only guy, between all the injuries and just the lack of overall depth. It's like, that's why Drew Rom got a shot. That's why Adam Kloffenstein technically got a shot. That's why Semra Bursa would have gotten a shot if he could have stayed healthy.
Yeah.
It's crazy, I mean, Matthew Liberatore only got a shot this year because of how weak the depth in the system is.
Yeah.
And also, for what it's worth, he has not pitched well as of late. I mean, I think it's something to do with fatigue. I'm not too worried about it, but it just, they don't have enough guys. There's not enough. And so, yeah, you're right. Yeah. They are probably 5 or 6 years away because you got to hit on all those guys, and you got to get them in so many different ways. You got to be signing them internationally. You got to be drafting them, and you got to be making trades and getting lucky and random pickups that work out for you. And it's just, you're far.
And like, I also realize like there's a lot of chats going on right now, and I feel like it's fair. Is like people be like, well, Matthew Liberatore is even that good, or maybe he's not a reliever, or maybe he's a reliever, all that kind of stuff. When I said like you have Matthew Liberatore and Andre Palante, Michael McGreevy, and all these, I realized I'm setting the bar very low.
Yeah.
But like, again, let's going into this season, the only Cardinal starter that had made like 10 or more starts with an ERA lower than 4 that was internally developed since 2020 was Andre Palante.
Yeah.
Like, that's how far. But I should look, because I pulled it up, and I think Dakota Hudson's ERA was over 4 since 2020.
Oh, yeah. He was actually like low-key outperforming his metrics for multiple years in a row. But
yeah.
That is the best homegrown starter you have in the last nearly decade now.
Yeah.
I mean, if you go after Jack Flaherty's debut, I think Dakota Hudson's the best homegrown starter they've produced.
Which is like, it's crazy to say that out loud, right? Like,
it's an indictment on the system.
Yep. And so I'll pull it up here and see if I can find it, because I remember I wrote about it. I was just like, it's just so insane how bad the Cardinals pitching development's been for so long. And they just have been absent of even number 5 starters. Here. So I've got the numbers here. So sorry, it's taking me a second here. Oh, so like since 2021, this was before this season. 65% of the Cardinals starts came from people that were acquired via trade or on a free agent contract. So like Adam Wainwright's a part of those, but he was being paid $20 million to give you those starts, right? They had 35% of their starts came from guys on cost controlled deals like pre-arb or arbitration. Only 2 homegrown starters since 2020 had made 10 or more starts with an ERA lower than 4, and it was Andre Palante and John Gant.
Oh my gosh, I forgot about the John Gant starting experiment.
Yeah. And then if you wanted to go back, if you wanted to include 10 or more starts with ERA lower than 5, so they had between a 4 and 5 ERA, that was Jack Flaherty, Dakota Hudson, Andre Palante, and John Gantz. Everyone else had either less than 10 starts or had an ERA over 5.
Well, I mean, there just aren't guys. Like, there aren't guys. That's the thing. It's not even that they haven't developed good pitching. It's that they haven't developed any pitching. Yep. That's the crazy part about it. And even if you look at the guys that made spot starts, most of them weren't even homegrown. Like, you can't call Drew Rom homegrown. You can't call Adam Kloffenstein and the spot start he made homegrown. Like, there just weren't even names. Yeah. There haven't even been guys to bring up. One, because they're hurt all the time. Like, it sucks that you didn't get Alex Reyes. Okay, that sucks. It sucks that you haven't gotten Tink Hence. You know, Tink Hence has been in the system. I mean, he got drafted the same time as Jordan Walker. Yeah, he should have been pitching here. He should have been starting last year already. It sucks that happens, you know, but there haven't even been guys. And that's a crazy thing to think about. I mean, Michael McGreevy is fine, but like, other teams develop these guys in their sleep. I guess it's not hard. The problem, like, I mean, I was talking to a buddy earlier today, and I was like, what frustrates me so much about McGreevy and the Cardinals drafting philosophy pre-Bloom is that, like, a guy like McGreevy, that type of pitcher is available in the 7th round, and the Cardinals are targeting them in the 1st round, and then they don't even do anything, you know? Yeah. Like Zach Thompson, come on. It's just whatever.
So here's, I think, maybe even giving a comparison to what was the glory days like. So during the same 4-year stretch, so 2020 to 2024, so 2012 to 2015, the Cardinals had 126 starts from Lance Lynn, 63 starts from Shelby Miller, 58 from Michael Wacha, 56 from Jaime Garcia, 38 from Joe Kelly, and 36 from Carlos Martinez. And all of those guys had a 3.36 ERA or lower.
They were all so good.
So that's like, that's over 200, way over 200 starts. That's almost 300 starts from young, cost-controlled starters who had a 3.36 ERA or lower. The Cardinals haven't had a guy with more than 10 starts have a low ERA lower than 4 since 2020. Like, that's just how. That's when I say it's light years. Like, there's 5 to 6 years of work to get back to a place.
It's a different league environment for sure.
You know? For sure.
Like, those guys did things then that might not necessarily be successful now, but it's just like, it's crazy that the Cardinals have fallen behind like that. I mean, like, they just didn't modernize. They didn't prioritize whiffs. I mean, you look at, like, watching Matthew Liberatore, sometimes it's really fun, but, like, man, you look at him the other night and it's like he just couldn't get a whiff to save his life. You know, these guys are inefficient. They nibble. It's just the worst.
Yeah. And so, again, I think it's just going to take a long time for it to get to a place. And again, if it works, to get to a place that's, again, that was maybe probably the golden age of player development, Cardinal pitching. Like, if they got back to get that again, that'd be insane. And that's honestly, like,
ever have a run like that, to be honest.
Yeah, exactly. And so that is one of the reasons why I think when people are like, "Oh, did nothing," it's like, okay, you cannot look at a metric like that and be like, that front office did nothing. Like, that's an incredible era to have developed, but it's also incredibly bad that they let it get that stale and fall behind. And so I do think it's interesting that Mo went on 101 ESPN this morning on TMA, and they asked him kind of like, hey, well, what about the work at the minor league levels and how it fell behind? And he was like, well, I wouldn't say it regressed or fell behind or whatever, but he said that it didn't modernize, like that they didn't innovate. And I think it's completely right. I mean, I would also say they fell behind. And like that they said that it fell off. He's like, well, I don't know if it fell off. We just didn't modernize. Well, I think you also fell off. Okay.
Semantics.
Yeah. But it is true, they didn't modernize. And then he also talked a little bit about what Bloom's going to be doing. And he started to kind of allude to, like, I think we all kind of assume this is going to happen, but phase 1 of Bloom bringing in new voices was the player development side of things. And that's what Bloom focused on year 1 or year 2 of his time with the Cardinals, year 1 of this official, like, transition year. but he's probably going to come in and shake up the analytics department. He's maybe going to shake up the scouting department. He's maybe going to shake up international. Mo talked about how like now Bloom is maybe going to make some changes in other places, and changes that would be hard for him to make. And Mo even talked about like, I think some people like talk about like Mo's arrogant, doesn't want to leave. No, I mean, Mo clearly is done. He's ready to be done with this job. Now, again, I think we sometimes don't take into account how much the DeWitts and him are close in their relationship. And it really does feel like even this last extension that Mo signed was more about finishing well with the DeWitts than it was about him really wanting to be here another 2 years. And taking blows for things that are actually the DeWitts. And there's probably things that we criticize him all the time where it's like, if we got to sit down and hear the real story from Mo, it's like, dudes, you have no idea about what the constraints I was under. But it doesn't excuse, none of that's excuse what fell off, because even like the Brewers have so many constraints and they figured it out. So like, it's not an excuse. It's just a reality, but Mo still needs to go. But I was going to say with that, Mo kept saying, we need new voices here. Like, and some of the guys that are, and he didn't say this, but he was like, it's hard to change things with the same people. And so there's probably going to have to be changed in places just for the sake of new voices doing it. And so I'm not saying Randy Flores, but like maybe a guy like that, or maybe Moises Rodriguez, or I'm not want to name names because I don't want to be like, I want these guys to go, their jobs to be gone. But like, there are probably names in that organization that might find new jobs somewhere else, or might be replaced, or there might be new positions added that are over those guys, because Bloom is going to bring his lieutenants in to change how they use analytics, how they change international scouting, amateur scouting, the big league coaching staff. Like, there's a lot of changes that Bloom is going to implement, and we just saw the beginning of it on the player development side.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to take a lot of time. I guess the important thing in the near term then, and this is something that I've argued with plenty of people about, do you think to get there, the Cardinals have to suck?
No.
That's my thing. Like, I don't think they have to suck.
Yeah.
I definitely don't think they have to suck. They're not going to win 100 games.
Yeah.
But like, they can be decent between now and then, because I don't think them getting better is predicated on them losing. Them getting better is predicated on them getting better. Like, I don't think that has too much. Like, yeah, drafting higher is nice, but I don't think that's everything. Like, Brewers aren't drafting high and they're finding guys. Mozeliak is not a first-round pick, okay? Like, the Cardinals passed on that guy. He was available. Not only did they pass, what year was he drafted?
2023, or 2022, I believe.
Yeah, is that the year the Cardinals drafted McGreevy?
No, they got, I think McGreevy was 2021. So if it's 2021, then yeah, there's McGreevy year. Let's see. I'll pull it up as your. But yeah, they got Mozeliak was a second-round pick, and it was in, oh my gosh, why can't I find it? Because this is so slow. Second-round pick in 2022.
Who did we draft in 2020?
That was Chase Davis.
Okay, yeah. I mean, that guy's available. You just didn't find him. You didn't.
Oh, wait, no. That was Cooper Jerpy, not Chase Davis.
Okay.
Chase Davis 2023.
Like, I love Cooper Jerpy. Still really like him as a prospect, and it sucks that we haven't seen what he's capable of. But, like, that guy was available, Those guys, like, most of these guys are not first-round picks, which means, yeah, the Cardinals passed on them, It's not about drafting higher. It's about drafting properly and actually nailing guys. I mean, when you look at the last few first-round picks, the story's not written yet for Nolan Gorman and Jordan Walker, I don't think. But, like, if they don't get any better, those are whiffs. Like Zach Thompson, that's a whiff now. Michael McGreevy, you fouled one off because he's a number 5, but that's a number 5.
Fouled one off.
First round. I don't get it. It's a bunt, actually, because they didn't swing.
I'd say it's a single, because anytime you develop a big leaguer, I think it's like, that's at least a single.
It's an infield single. It was a half swing, little swibbler to the third baseman. But, like, that's what happened, And if Cooper Jerpy stays hurt forever, like, that stinks. Chase Davis not panning out the way they wanted him to as a power bat in the system. You're just not drafting the right guys. You don't need to lose. You just need to do things correctly. Yeah. You need to build a pitching lab, maybe. That'd be a great place to start.
It definitely depends on just how you want to build, right? Because, I mean, if you look at Bloom with Boston, like, they had a couple really high picks because they had a couple bad years, and they got Kyle Teal, Marcel Mayer out of it. But they also landed Roman Anthony and Christian Campbell in the 3rd and 4th rounds, I believe. Yeah. And so, like,
well, you already got your big pick. You already got JJ.
Yeah. And so it's like, do they have to be bad? I don't think so. But is it wrong for them to be bad either? I also don't think so, if that's the best way to build for them. Like, because I do think there's a world where if you think you can develop these star talents and have the supplemental players on your roster, then you keep being a pretty good team that can try and overachieve over time while you're building the stuff needed to become a true contender over time. Kind of like, I mean, again, you look over the Brewers and it's like over and over again, they were like, yeah, we all know they actually aren't that good. But now it finally feels like, okay, they are that good. And they still have Made coming, Mizorowski just starting. And I always forget the other young guy. Yeah, Mania. It's like, and again, there's no guarantee those guys will be studs, but like, I mean, the Cardinals don't even have that many. They don't have like Rynell is like not even Rynell's not that, right? They have JJ to dream on, but he's more advanced.
Rynell's going to get some hype. I mean,
I think he will, but he's not there yet. He's definitely not there yet.
People are starting to put him into their top 50s. Like
but those, I mean, we're talking about Made and what's his name again? Pena are like top 5, top 10. So like,
I don't know. Still, top Made's top 5.
I've seen Pena get way, but yeah, Made's for sure top 5. But I'm just saying, like in general, like the Cardinals have like JJ Weatherholt, if he was in low A right now, wouldn't be a top 5 prospect. He's a super advanced and showing AAA, and that's what's boosted him up. And I'm glad. I think he's a top 5 prospect in baseball. But it's one guy, like and again, the Made would be joining a team that's just killing it right now at the major league level, while JJ Weatherholt will be joining the most mediocre team there is in baseball.
Yeah, no, it's very true. Exactly 500.
Yeah, and so I do think, no, they don't have to be bad to rebuild. It would potentially make things a little bit easier because you've access to that talent at the top, but they don't have to do that, right? And it's also not just drafting guys. They can also make great trades where they do their version of trading Christian Vasquez and getting a Willie Abreu out of it, or that's like the Heim Bloom one, but like they can get their Randy Rosarina, they can get their Yordan Alvarez, they can get their Pete Crow Armstrong, they can get these guys that are traded for as prospects and end up being studs for you. They can get like the Brewers do all the time, where they pick up a pitcher like Quinn Priester, where it's like he's not a number 1, number 2, but he's like a number 4 and like a really quality one, and they got him for cash and a comp pick. Like they need to start being able to do that kind of stuff too. And if they can do that stuff on the edges consistently well, and then modernize
it, so maddening. Quinn Priester is a Brewer now, and then he's good. Like,
yeah, but let's get that's the thing, right? Get the Cardinals back to being an organization where when they go get Quinn Priester, people are like, what do the Cardinals see? Like there's certain organizations when they acquire a guy, you're like, is that guy going to be really good soon? And then they are, right? Yeah, or like Andrew Vaughn. It's like, I remember I did something, like some guy came at me on Twitter. I remember when I did like the Cardinals, like could have traded Eric Fetty to a team like the White Sox and gotten a flyer guy like that. And he was like, oh, you're just being disingenuous. Like, why would you ever want Andrew Vaughn? It's like, well, when you're a team like the Brewers, he was a former top 5 pick and he turned him around. They turned him around. Andrew Vaughn's been awesome. And I don't know if
it might be just the Linsanity run, because everyone on the Brewers is having a Linsanity run. But no, you're right. The Cardinals, like, they finally have started doing that on the bullpen side. Like,
yeah, which is a great sign.
The Cardinals grab someone now, and I'm like, okay, I'll see. Mm-hmm. Like Riley O'Brien, Matt Svanson, those are great examples of like, well, really, that's interesting. Like they just got Alcala. It's like, well, we'll see what's in there. I'd be excited about that. But I mean, they definitely don't do that elsewhere. And they're like, for every Quinn Priester or Andrew Vaughn, there's like the Cubs got Nate Pearson. That's a guy I wanted the Cardinals to get from the Blue Jays, former top prospect, kind of busted, felt like a change of scenery guy. And it's like, well, I would have liked the Cardinals, but it didn't work out. He's not any good with them, and it's whatever. But for every guy like that, like there are booms, and it'd be nice if the Cardinals got in on those elsewhere than just the bullpen. I mean, I can't think of the last time they got someone like that offensively. I mean, it must have been forever ago.
Yeah. So I mean, again, that is an awesome. Like, it is a great development, but it's like when you think about like the 3 phases of the game. I mean, the 4 phases of the defense, but I'll just say position players, starting pitching, and relievers. The one that is like the least critical to being a series. Well, it's not. I shouldn't say it's not important, because if you have a bad bullpen, you can't win it all. But like, you got to build the lineup, you got to build the rotation, then you can go patchwork the bullpen as needed. So like, it's awesome that they figured out a way to continue to churn good bullpens. But again, the hard work is ahead of them with getting starting pitching and the position players. And again, I feel like we got to, like, I keep having to say this to myself, like, this is a new group of player development, and there will be more and more new voices in the organization. So I just don't like when I look at the chats or comments sometimes, or Twitter, and it's just like, well, it's going to be the same old Cardinals, and in 2030 it'll be the same thing. It's like, maybe, but also this isn't, because we have 2 decades of the same leadership that's now changing. It's a new guard, and we have a guard that we've seen do it successfully in other places. So it's not just a bunch of like young guns who are like, we bet we know how to do it. It's like, this man in Heim Bloom has proven it with the Tampa Bay Rays. He again, mixed results, but at least on the overhauling player development, prove that in Boston. And then you've got guys coming for organizations like the Mariners that are great with pitching and the Guardians that are great player development. It's like, I'm going to give them a chance and see what happens. And again, we're going to be critical of them if it doesn't work, but
yeah,
I'm interested to see what happens with this. So, yeah, I mean, what a time to be alive to Cardinals right now. Just love watching them play. And they get the Yankees this weekend, which will be interesting.
I mean, it would not shock me at all if they win the series or sweep them, or it wouldn't shock me at all if they go out and, they lose every game. At this point, though, it really is like do or die time for the Cardinals this year. And I really want to see them go on a run, but
No, Yankees use. But they've been not great lately. So
no, they haven't either. They're also really, I mean, the Yankees.
But who hasn't been great either? The freaking Colorado Rockies. So
terrible. The Yankees might miss the playoffs, but at this point, it really does feel like do or die time. It's really funny, actually, how like I know we interact with probably a subset of Cardinals fans that are much more plugged into the team than a lot of others, but it's really funny just how like tuned out of the big league club people are and how tuned into the future and 2027 and when your team is still 500, like that's that's funny to me.
It is very different, but I also think it's for good reason, right? And also this isn't like, even like there have been 500 Cardinal teams before in like the 2018, 2017, 2016 range, or 2021 at times, but like they had recent history of proving that they can go on runs.
Like
there's impact talent.
It was closer. Like at that point, Alex Reyes was like the incumbent ace who was supposed to like save us all.
Yeah.
And I mean, you lost Oscar Taveras after the 2016 season, I want to say, right? Or 2016. But like,
it was after 2014. It
was after 14?
Yeah. Because they lost in the NLCS against the Giants, and then he passed away in the World Series.
You're right.
Brutal.
But like, there was impact talent. You still felt like they could produce that impact talent, and it felt like it was on the way. And now, I mean, it really is a question. And honestly, like, the Cardinals have routinely had they've had not amazing farm systems, but their farm system hasn't graded out as like bottom 5 in rankings very often. And yet they still haven't produced like anything, which is really funny to me. Like how many top 100 prospects to this point? Like I don't even trust rankings anymore for the Cardinals. Like I finally just need to see it because they've got so many top 100 prospects come up and just be like, whatever, you know what I mean? I need to see it finally.
Yeah, for sure. And when you bring up Oscar Taveras, it's kind of, I know like we all are sick of Mo bringing it up, and he shouldn't. Like he should stop being like, well, the Oscar Taveras thing, because at some point like he could have just not been good. Like
very possible.
So it's like that could have wrecked things too. I mean,
he had the Jordan Walker arc.
Yeah,
it doesn't produce.
But assuming he does become this star, it is interesting to think about the chain reaction of bad decisions that were made out of it, where it's like, well, the train for Jason Hayward wasn't bad, but like if you had Oscar Taveras, you keep Shelby Miller. And Shelby Miller, I know he didn't work out as a starter long term, but part of that was because he had a freak injury where he was pitching in Arizona and his finger came down and hit the mound, and he lost feeling in his finger, and he like wasn't the same after that.
Yeah.
It's like, and so it is an excuse to Oscar Taveras stuff, but it's like, it's so interesting to think about. Like,
well, you don't trade for Ozuna.
Yes, you keep Shelby Miller, and what does he end up becoming and continue
what
to be?
What do Alcantara and Gallen become for you?
Yeah, and again, doesn't mean they end up being who they should be, because the Cardinals player development group by that point was becoming stale, and like, do they ruin those guys? Who knows? But it is interesting to think like how different. It might not have been much different. They might have had an Oscar Taveras, but everything falls apart around him. Taveras could have just been bad. They could have still made poor decisions. Like, it is an interesting like what if in Cardinals history specifically. But so, we'll be back in this weekend, I'm sure, after the Yankee series. We'll see what happens. I do think this title is very accurate. This is the most frustrating team in baseball, because one day they look like, man, they really like, we should believe, and the next day it's like, wow, I never want to believe again. So
that's about where we are.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate everyone tuning in. As always, like and subscribe. Helps the channel a ton. Thanks to 314. Thanks to Underdog Sports. And we'll see you guys next time.
Thanks, Mo.
Thanks, Mo.
Thanks for